Today is a great day because today we get to talk about my favorite comic book that is being published right now. That is,
Jonny Quest.
Ultraman.
could be. Stay tuned to find out.
Interesting.
We've got a packed episode of Pals Pulls today. We have
Counter.
six of this week's biggest books. We have Ultimates number 3, the debuting She-Hulk in this. We've got X-Men number 2. Look what I did
yeah.
there.
Had
to
to
get
do it to
this.
him.
That's the J. Scott Campbell one.
Yeah,
of course
magic
it is.
cover. Yep.
Magic in a couple different ways.
X Factor number 1. The listener pick this week. I don't know if it's because I mentioned it in the post or what, but by and large, Ultraman X Avengers number 1 picked up the win.
Genuinely, I was blown away to see this one.
Yeah, me too. Me too, definitely.
Just wondering how many kaiju fans we have out there. Jeez.
Jonny Quest number 1.
Yeah, hell yeah.
You didn't snag the Jay Lee cover for that, Sean?
Oh,
No.
would you?
I didn't really care for the cover selection, actually. And then Ghost Machine Geiger number 5. So we've got some pretty good books we're going to be talking today. We've got 3 pals on deck. We've got Cale,
What's up, hot dogs?
Tyler,
Hi.
and I'm Sean. Thank you guys for joining us, whether you were with us live or in the future. Make sure you smash that like button. If you enjoy what we do, subscribe to the channel. If you are not, thank you for helping us get to 3,000 subscribers, by the way. With no further ado, let's talk about The Ultimates number 3. This is written by Dennis Camp with art by Juan Frigeri, colors by Federico Blee, letters by Travis Lanham. So this issue introduces us to Ultimate She-Hulk, and not just Ultimate She-Hulk, or who we presume to be Ultimate She-Hulk, but a very specific and an important place in this new Ultimate Universe. So the book opens on a scene that is really startling, where we're seeing a essentially a gamma bomb let off near an island that is full of people, an island that has many people who live on it. We see the fallout just landing all over them, and then sometime later, the Ultimates arrive, and it's Monster Island, and everything on there, living, human and otherwise, has been mutated or killed by this experimentation that's going on. That leads to, a confrontation with the Ultimate She-Hulk, and what we get is what I believe to be one of the best comics of the year.
When you say best comics of the year, Sean, you're talking this comic as a series or this
issue?
Okay.
Wow.
Huh. My gut is to not dispute that either.
I'm genuinely interested to hear why, because not that I think it was bad by any means, but I think that's a tall order for this book.
Well, it's got a Hulk, so.
So far, I don't think that this series has missed. Issue number 1 is still my favorite singular issue of the year. 2 I loved. This one is right up there with number 1 for me. Slightly below it, because there's just so much in this. Dennis Camp is on fire, and I am like kicking myself that I keep forgetting to buy 20th Century Men, because I need to see what Dennis Camp has been cooking with.
The thing about Ultimates is that it's only been 3 issues. They are so jam-packed with, like, lore, just lore for this new universe, that, like, when you had said last week Ultimates 3 is out next week, I'm like, there's no fucking way it's 3. There's no way that we only read 2 issues.
Yeah.
But they're also, like, yes, they're chunky with all this information, but they're not, like, overly expository. Like, it is just a well-crafted monthly comic book. And it's impressive. It's super, super impressive. Juan for Gary, nothing to tip your nose to either. That's not a phrase. But real good stuff, man. I might be with you, Sean. I really like this issue.
What's up to Amin Perez, Thor's drinking buddy, James Jones, Moon Arc, Rami Darwish, Cole, Websling Matt, who says that they found us through the interview that we did with Omar. Thank you for tuning in, Matt. Appreciate that. Flo Dameron, Moon Arc. Did I say Moon Arc? I did. Say it again. And Atomic Hound. Those are the names I can see right now. Thank you guys for joining us. So to answer the question in the chat, yes, this is my pick of the week. This book, it might even be my pick of the month. Ultimates is insane. This book is just so good. So the first page is a gamma bomb, like I said. And you just see this. It looks like an island in the distance, just bombarded by this explosion. And the entire skyline, the water, even everything is bathed in this green, this irradiated green. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I just watched the HBO series Chernobyl. And that show is about, of course, the aforementioned Chernobyl nuclear site where there was a meltdown and everything that happened around that time at the Soviet Union. That is not the only nuclear disaster that has happened in this world. We have had several. This book gives you a look at what that can be like. And for me, someone who's had this type of stuff on the brain since I read an article in a particular adult magazine when I was a child about nuclear disasters when I was 13 years old, I have been obsessed with the idea of what can happen. And this book put that in a comic. I felt horrible for these people. Dennis Camp did an excellent job of making us understand the horror of this. And what I love so much is that everything that we see would be presented a lot of times historically in comics without this kind of context. Oh my goodness. Wow, a nuke went off. Oh my God, there's an Ultron attack. Whoa, this is so crazy. The Red Skull's experimenting, blah, 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 whatever. We never get to see what happens to those people. We never get to see the devastation. Dennis Camp doesn't let you forget it. He's holding your face to it.
And that's been this entire series so far. Yeah.
And again, it's like another, just the constant barrage of the theme of confronting the sins of the previous generation and fixing things in this is just super compelling.
And then the data pages, which it's funny because he kind of Dennis kind of warned us that there would be data pages in his book. And so far they have felt a lot more like the great data pages that we got at the beginning of the Krakoan era rather than the ones we got later that were superfluous. Has every issue had one of these? I believe so, yes. Have they all been great and additive? Yes. In this one, we get what are essentially, reports, classified reports about the experiments that were being done on this unnamed island, where Bruce Banner, Dr. Banner, as he's referred to, or Director Banner, decided to do gamma radiation tests by dropping gamma bombs. And they promised these people that they would look out for them. They promised them that they would take care of the island and everything else. They lied to these people. They sold them a line of bullshit. Think back to history. Think back to how Manhattan was claimed, how Manhattan was purchased, for whatever it was, for the way we got it from the natives, right? Think about the way this land was taken. Think about the devastation. That gets glossed over all the time. Movie I love, Oppenheimer, has no interest in dealing with, right? But this book, like I said, it leaves you haunted by those realities.
And so there are so many stories that revolve around scenarios exactly like this. Like this seems to be some sort of Hawaii
Sure.
uh
Analog?
thank you. Um but then there's also like the Tuskegee Airmen,
Yes.
or if you think about like the tests of the birth control pill. There are just so many cases throughout, I mean, American history alone, where you can see it all reflected through this. It's just, I mean, yeah, haunting is the only word you can put to it.
The humanization, right? Treating people as other allows you to sleep at night when you experiment on them or destroy them, their culture, their identity, anything. And Dennis Camp clearly understands that. And he's speaking, through those data pages, he is exploring that concept. And then we see the people and the reaction. The data pages make it seem like it's not that bad. Like, hey, the experiment was great.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some of those data pages are pretty gross. Like one of them talks about how any pregnant woman that came into contact gave birth to goop, and it's like, man, he's not shying away from like this is messed up stuff. And then they show it. I thought it would just be in the data pages, and then they show some of the mutations because of this, and I was like, oh god, all right, they're going for it.
But look at this line. After just 3 weeks of observation, we feel confident this project will be of great scientific value, both to the world and Dr. Banner. There is no better place to study gamma's effects on life in general and human life specifically. While it is true that these people do not live as we do, as civilized people do, it is also true that they are more like us than mice or fruit flies. They're
Sinister.
talking about human beings.
And are we to believe Dr. Banner wrote those? At least the first one. The second one was by somebody who was sent there and realized that that person was just fodder as well.
The one I just read from is the first one, and it is written by someone who is not Director Banner because it refers to him.
Sure. Okay. Got it. But just the sinister nature of it is haunting, really.
It's the callousness that all of these kinds of things, all of the people who do this kind of thing have. It's the cavalierness, the callousness, the lack of care. Dennis Camp was able to nail all of those things. But aside from everything I just said, there is a superhero component, right? We do have the Ultimates on this monster island. This issue gives us Sif, Thor, Iron Lad, and those are the only ones that are actually on the mission, I think.
Yeah.
But what I like about that too is like even though like this is focusing on what we just talked about, the Monster Island and She-Hulk, you do get good characterization for the other characters. Like the whole Sif Thor dynamic is explored here, not directly, but you're seeing it and you're experiencing it. Like the fact that she's his jailer, and she will not leave his side. But because of that, there's kind of a mutual respect and safeguarding that's going on. And then the whole stuff with Tony and how, he's upset that these Asgardians killed a dinosaur, essentially, proves how he's a little in over his head. He's not used to this, but he's also a good person at his core.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of great character work. I find that I'm really enjoying these characters, and even the differences, like certainly these characters are different than mainline Marvel. I don't think anybody can accuse at least Dennis Camp of not trying to diversify these characters. And I'm enjoying that a lot. This does not feel like Tony Stark, but I don't mind it.
I prefer it.
Same. I don't want it to feel like Tony Stark. I've had enough.
Yeah.
It's just interesting to me that I'm having that reaction. Like the characters feel so themselves, like this version, that I'm not constantly comparing them to what I'm used to because they're solidly who they are.
Yeah.
And it's weird. I can't say the same for all the Ultimates books, but I can say it for this series for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And it feels like it does feel like this has the most grounded and thought out um thesis. So the characters here are the world setting. So they have to be so different and solid in who they are. And there are so many of them versus the other books that they have to be very well defined.
Yeah, yeah. Now there was an element here that I thought was interesting with the way that Thor and Sif treated the animals on Monster Island. I felt like they almost had like a similar callousness to what we were getting in those reports. They kind of enjoyed killing these animals, whereas Iron Lad was like, "Hey, what are you doing? Why are you just killing them like this? We don't need to do that." They don't give a shit.
And I think the story is going to be the softening of these Asgardians going forward too. Like this is just what they do in Asgard. It's what we do back home. You know, oops, sorry, didn't mean to kill your dragon. That's what we do. You know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it,
the
yeah, go ahead.
sorry. Well, I was gonna say that's really how it felt to me is more like, especially in that first case where they kill the dinosaurs, like, oh, it's a dragon. We kill dragons, no big deal. Whereas the second one seemed like he could have been humanoid and they waited for Iron Lad's approval. And then it was like, okay, do it or don't.
It's like if I went over Cale's house and I killed a fly, and Cale's like, "Yo, what are you doing, dude?" I was like, "Oh shoot, sorry."
That was my dad.
Yeah.
I like that it's the gods that don't value the lives of these animals, but the human does. And I think it keeps in mind for me that, like, well, these are not the Avengers. You would never see mainline Thor do that. You would never see that. Would just it wouldn't happen. Mainline Thor definitely cares about all manner of creature. Would never just kill something like that. Go ahead, Tyler.
I've seen him do it.
When have you seen him just casually cut down animals?
Whenever he's on like Jotunheim, he's killing
I guess
frost
I
giants
guess
all the time.
I guess
Oh,
it's
come
the
on,
diff
man. You know what I'm talking about. When have you seen Thor just callously cut down an animal?
yeah, so it's the difference of
Yeah.
cutting it down versus beating the ever loving shit out of it. Right? Like uh it, he's not gonna beat he's not gonna cut the head off of a frost giant, as the Thor we know.
Sif also kills the crab that Iron Lad is simply presenting to them.
And I love the bit how Tony is so enamored by this crab because like in actual studies in evolution, a lot of species all end towards crab sometimes. Like divergent species just become crabs. So he's like nerding out and then you get a good like just slash sound effect and I'm like, oh shoot.
Yeah.
Then we get the She-Hulk of it all. And it's not Jennifer Walters. It is a completely different character, unique character, who I think we're supposed to believe is the little girl from the beginning of the issue. Or at least that's the impression that I got, that she grows up to be this
Yeah.
She-Hulk. That's not explicitly stated. You can infer it. And the issue becomes her explaining to them what was done here, the cost of it, the way that, yeah, it's like, hey, cool, I have superpowers, but look at the rest of these people. And then, you see a panel of what some of the natives to this island look like. And it's they're, I hate to say it, but a lot of them are abominations. And again, it's that idea of like, wow, great. We all got mutant powers. Now we look like supermodels who can kick ass, right? Like the X-Men. No,
Right.
we got irradiated, and now I have a massive, disgusting head with a tiny body, or I'm whatever the hell this guy is.
A walking nervous system. Yeah.
Yeah. It's incredible.
Dude, the thought of like being able to feel every gust of wind and it hurts is like, oh God, why would you describe it like that? That's horrible.
Yeah. I want to answer this right now because I think it's relevant. Amin Perez says, why did Tony remove his helmet? I think the reason is simple. I think Tony was saying, hey, I'm all in. You guys went through this and you endured and you're here. I can do this too. I'll put
It
myself on the line.
was respect, I
Yeah.
think.
Also humanizing things because he has
Yeah.
two unhuman people behind him.
Well, and I think it's him separating the scientist in himself as Iron Lad, where he's fawning over the monsters and the dinosaurs and all of that, and seeing the human cost of it and acknowledging that as a person.
What did you guys make of the She-Hulk design?
I love that it's a gray Hulk. I thought it's a great, like, if you read the
Oh,
comics,
interesting.
you can understand that, but it doesn't need to be explicitly stated to you. Like, it is the more quote unquote civilized. You'd be curious to see if she changes color. That could be a good almost like a Green Lantern in a way. Like green is angry, or like she could turn into Red Hulk. It's like she just went Super Saiyan. It'd be cool to see if they play with that a bit, but I think it's great. I like how she's in clothes that fit her too, because we can assume that this is her. There's no transforming. There's no ripped clothes, So this being her 24/7, I think is a much different dynamic than we're used to.
It's a very serious, straight across the plate version of She-Hulk. And I think when you talk about her clothes, like, we I assume we're looking at, a Polynesian woman, her clothes aren't here to eroticize her, as a uh 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 uh, uh
If you don't spit it out.
there's a word I'm looking for. There's always a word I'm looking for. There's a foreign woman who, is eroticized by white people, that her clothes aren't there to show that. They're practical. They're there covering the parts that need covering.
Yeah, she's not being fetishized.
Thank you.
We got there in the end.
I can't get there by myself.
Fair enough.
We got to work on your fetishes. It's fine.
Yeah, A plus.
Yeah.
A plus. This is phenomenal. This is, if you're not reading Ultimates, I really don't even know what you're doing. Like you need, this needs to be on your pull list. It's absurdly good.
Only 3 issues too.
Yeah, exactly.
It's ground floor.
And to top it off, the way the issue ends, like what could have sold you more on wanting to see the Hulk get his ass beat than this issue? He didn't need to be in the comic. And then you finally see him and it's like, oh man, I can't wait to see them get this man.
Yep.
And who does he call for at the end? My iPad's in the other room.
The
He calls for the immortal weapons.
Oh,
Yes.
There we go. Yeah, that's Iron Fist stuff. Cool.
It's such an interesting take on the Hulk and Banner and that dynamic, and twisting it ever so slightly. Man, this is great. This is great.
Pick of the week for me for this week.
Easily my pick of the week too, yeah.
Can't give it the pick of the week. I want to. Unfortunately.
Oh. I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
But it's in my heart. It still might be.
It's going to be a war. I'll say this. It's going to be a war when it comes to the end of the year Pally Awards, which is our award show where we, figure out what were the best series, what were the best, whatevers. It's going to be a war to figure out what wins best series this year.
Mm.
This, Birds of Prey, Powerpuff Girls.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
I don't suspect that's going to make the list.
Yeah,
I
absolute
don't
Wonder
think so.
Woman, maybe.
Could be.
Oh, true.
Could be.
That is this year.
Absolutely. Let's hit the comments section. Let's see what you guys have to say about Ultimates number 3. Pete Collins joining us. What's up, Pete Collins? Says, really like this issue. The other Ultimates books would benefit from this level of world building. I completely agree. And you know what's even better is the fact that this cliffhanger here does not require us to see the immediate next moment. So when they skip a month, it's not going to matter.
Yeah. C.W. Gordon says, it's late for Cale. I get it. Thank you.
Fresh News 24/7 said the new Ultimates book history building is next level. Man, if like only the other books could even reference some of the world building in here, would be nice to see some interconnectivity. I guess Spider-Man sort of did with the last issue, but we'll see.
Well, sorta. Maybe we'll see it in the next issue.
Yeah.
Izzy's Issues says, I can't believe how hard Ultimates went with not glossing over that kind of atrocity. I wonder what a look at the main 616 through that lens would be like. So they really held us to it. Well, I don't even know if they held us to it. I was going to say Civil War. I think that the starkness of that, the fact that kids died in Civil War, that hit me pretty hard. And the way that like the mother spits in Tony's face and everything, that was pretty tough stuff. I can't really think of any other really good examples.
Yeah, I think the frontline stuff in that really shows us, the effects of all that. The other, this isn't quite the same, but the other thing I'm thinking of is the DC 9/11 tribute. They did a big trade that was very similar in showing, the effects of all that on real people. It was very, very heart-wrenching, very touching.
And it doesn't look like they're going to stop either in Ultimates. I think is it 5 introduces Ultimate Hawkeye? And like it looks like he's Native American too, so I'm sure there will be a story there.
Good.
Yeah. Next issue's the one that Camp has been hyping it up like crazy on Twitter though.
Well, it connects to the MCU.
Of course, yeah.
So I get it.
Great bait. Great bait.
Oh man. What else you guys saying? Amin Perez says, was one of the poor people supposed to be the leader? I don't think so. I personally interpreted that, it could have been, but I interpreted that as a look at what we could get with the leader. They described the sort of head, and then we see that guy. I think it's more likely that one of the scientists who's maybe still on the island got transformed into the leader.
Could be the one that wrote the second data page too.
Yeah, I kind of, I don't know if there's room here for that, so I kind of just saw it as an Easter egg more than anything.
Yeah, like how she says abomination just casually.
Yeah,
little nod there.
Thor's drinking buddy says, I hope this Hulk is written like Maestro.
We did a book club on Future Imperfect. If you want to check that out, Thor's drinking buddy. Could be interesting. It does feel somewhat similar.
Yeah, it's hard to say. We haven't seen enough of him. The Maestro already exists. I like the idea that this Hulk has achieved like a Zen state, but he's still got that like callous science brain to him. And I'm very excited to see what causes him to go over the edge. That's going to be a moment.
Cosmo says, I haven't read any Hulk before, but I think this characterization of She-Hulk just spoiled me. I don't think I want any kind of Hulk that isn't this version now. That's quite the ask.
I will say She-Hulk is a completely different character, so I think you can. It would be, you're not losing any by trying the other one too. Although the book just got canceled, so much for that.
Also worth pointing out, if you enjoy this iteration of She-Hulk, the Mariko Tamaki Hulk book, which features a gray She-Hulk in main continuity, has similar-ish vibes in terms of a serious tone, and it was very good.
It was post Civil War too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then Rocky 56 said, I thought the setup for Hulk Island was really cool. Love the new She-Hulk design. I do feel like it's a missed opportunity not to bring in things like the Red Hulk. Well, Rocky, first time seeing your name here, so thanks for the comment. Um, I think that there's a lot to come. You know, this is still the early days. We just been introduced to this island, and there's a lot of time to introduce concepts like Red Hulk. We haven't even seen Hulk fight yet, really. So we've got a ways to go. Ways to go. We've got a lot going on around these parts. Make sure you guys check out our interview with Uncanny Omar from this past Saturday's show. A lot of you have already watched it. Thank you for doing that. It was fantastic. Thanks to Omar for deciding to join us. It was great. I think we had a stellar conversation. So if you're a fan of his and you're hearing this and you didn't know we did that, go give that a listen. Also, I want to say thank you to everybody who is watching our the video we put out this week about, do people care about new Marvel and DC characters? You guys have really, really been watching the shit out of that video. 4.7 thousand of you
Point
so
nine last I
far.
checked, Sean.
Oh, well, if that's the case, then it's gonna, yeah, it is 4.9. Yeah, so it's gonna end up being our most watched video, non-Sal interview video that we've ever done. That's crazy. You guys are all over it. Thank you.
That's the most people who have seen the character sideways. So
Possible.
Probably more people than bought the character sideways.
I think more people have seen him on the milk carton than have actually seen him in a comic. Also, I want to mention patreon.com/the comics pals, where you can support us and we will give you as much bang for your buck as we possibly can. You get newsletters every week. You get access to the poll for the book club, which the poll went up this week. It's got Annihilation on it. It's got Civil War on it. It's got Secret Wars 2015 on it. And it's got, what was the last? Oh, Secret Invasion. So those are the 4 books. You don't have too much time left to vote, so make sure you guys get those votes in. Poll will be ending probably Monday. So get those votes in, and you can do that through Patreon. Everything else, you guys know how to find us. We'll be live this Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern for the main show. That's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you guys join us for that. James Jones saying, congrats on 3K. Thank you so much, James. Really, really appreciate that. Thank you to everybody who has made that a possibility. We're not stopping by any means. We've got a lot more to come.
we are snowballing, if anything.
Hopefully. Feels like it.
Oh, Michael Nadeau. Yo, did I miss the Ultimates? Just. My man, just.
Wow. Just barely.
Sorry, dude.
Oh, Cale, you owe me a Pepsi.
Shit. I don't have that kind of money.
Well, you can get at least one Pepsi for the cost of X-Men #2. Written by Jed McKay with pencils by Ryan Stegman, inks by J.P. Mayer, colors by Marta Gracia and Fer Cienfuegos Suejo. This issue features the X-Men, as you would imagine, on a mission with aliens. Already, issue 2, and we're already fighting some aliens. Or so we are led to believe. Because, as it turns out, our merry mutants are not on a mission fighting against aliens. They are fighting against a mutant who appears to have some pretty serious reality warping powers to him. And the X-Men really realize that they're in a confrontation with him, and they solve the problem with a little bit of a hoodwinking towards the end. What'd you guys think of this? Was this a step up from issue 2? Have you made your mind up already?
I think it was a step down for me, actually. I enjoyed issue 1. This felt like more of the same, and that's not what I want out of an issue 2. Like, literally, it's the same objective. There's a new mutant that's activated. Oh, wait, it's weird that he is not a kid. This is a grown adult. And there's team dynamics. Um, it was a retread of issue 1, I feel. It looks good. I think Stegman's stuff looks amazing. The fact that the Marauder is essentially a spaceship and not a boat anymore, and it shot Juggernaut out of the front of it like a railgun, friggin' awesome. Love that. But I need a little more than just that looks cool in my comic. I need some actual substance, and I also felt like McKay's voice for Cyclops does not feel right to me. At one point, Cyclops, he's running into battle, and he makes a joke, and like, I'm sorry, that's not Scott to me. Like, he is focused, he is a soldier. He's not talking about Hot Woman when he was 13 years old. It just felt real off to me. So step down. Art's real good, but plot, like, generally, step down for me.
Actually, really like that line from Scott. I thought it was a rare look at his sense of, his dry sense of humor.
I thought it was a good line. I just don't think it was Scott. That's my thing.
Yeah, this didn't particularly do anything for me. The alien red herring is fine. But it just seemed, it was just a bunch of fodder. It was just a bunch of watching them kill a bunch of faceless minions, not even minions, for 20 pages or whatever. It just, I could have used more substance here. And I felt like we got that from issue 1. I was just, yeah, there just wasn't a lot here for me. Boy, I don't like the Juggernaut, at least here. I found that his whole thing incredibly annoying.
You didn't like the Neon Genesis Evangelion reference between him and Quentin?
I guess I didn't catch it.
Well, Quentin says, get in the gun or else ID8 has to. It's like Shinji getting the mech.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Little Miss Marvel or Charlotte says, just back into comics and discovered your channel recently. Love your content. Thank you very much. Appreciate you
Wow, cool.
choosing us to be your review crew this week. Thank you to everybody who chose us this week. Look, I was on record as feeling like X-Men #1 was like okay,
Yeah.
and this one I felt was just okay. I don't know if I felt necessarily like it was a step down, but it definitely didn't feel like a step up.
Yeah.
I'm just there's no strong characterization for me here. Characters feel paper thin. If you know who they are, awesome. If you don't, then they are the very, very basic version that you get here, and you won't get anything else. The thing that Cyclops said, where there is this little joke where he says, "Worried, I have 2 wildly dangerous women with enormous swords looking out for me. When I was 13, I thought this was what heaven looked like." Is he Spider-Man or is he Cyclops? And all this while there's what is allegedly a very, very dangerous alien invasion occurring. Cyclops is reflecting on his horny youth. I feel like there's a better time and place, brother.
Well, you know what I think, what that feels like to me? It feels like Krakoa Cyclops. It feels like a Cyclops who is unburdened by his mission because he has, that part's fulfilled.
He's got the cuck chair going on.
He's got the cuck chair going on,
Yeah.
so he has the mental capacity where he can do the two things at once.
He had
Uh,
constant post nut clarity, is what you're saying.
that's right. I mean, that's what that whole island was. But now, he's got a whole broad mission and he needs to be focused.
Yeah, it's everything theoretically, right? Like the impression that I feel like I'm supposed to have, whether or not I have it, which I don't, to be honest, is that things are more dangerous than ever. And the books don't give me that impression because everybody is so jokey and jovial and having a blast. But I'm supposed to take this seriously. And I'm not able to.
In a team where you have Juggernaut, Goofy Oaf, Quentin Quire, Smarmy Smartass, and Ilyana Magic, Smarmy Smartass. You can't have Cyclops joking too. Like, it's just too much of the same kind of feel.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think if you compare that to, and maybe it's not a fair comparison, but it's where my mind was going. Uncanny X-Men felt like it had a balance to it where characters were serious, but they were also joking, and it flowed through emotions because the characters felt fully realized. Whereas here, there really isn't any emotion at all. There's just, all right, we're fighting. It is what it is. We're going to
Yep.
get this joke off, and then we're going to move on with our lives. I'm not here for that. And I'm also not here for Cyclops looking like he's 22 years old or whatever this is. Like I'm surprised by that.
It's from like the Age of Apocalypse movie, or no, the Dark Phoenix movie. Which one was it? With
He's
Apocalypse?
in both.
Oh, he's in both. Okay. Man, those movies blend together to me.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't hate this for sure. It's, it's never annoying. Like it's never not fun to watch the X-Men do what they do, especially under Ryan Stegman's pen. And, the Juggernaut uh bullet is still sort of a fun gimmick, even though we just saw them doing it in Krakoa at least once. I'm
Yeah,
not sure if it happened more than once, but obviously it just happened like,
it did happen twice.
yeah. And the most recent time was at the very, very end.
Yeah.
So
They're definitely gonna shoot Cyclops out of there, right, with his laser beam.
I wish they'd shoot me out of that.
Probably feel
Get me
great in
away
the
from
back.
this comic book.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess the mission statement of the book is ultimately, okay, we need to find these mutants who are, developing their powers as adults and figure out why this is happening and I guess all that other stuff. And that's fine, but I just don't know if I care. I don't know that they've gotten me to care. What who cares when a person develops their powers, really? I don't.
I think it would make sense that the X-Men would care because it rewrites everything they understand about mutants.
Yes, you are 100% right about that. But who's telling us?
What do you mean?
Like the story is not reflecting the dire nature in my
Sure.
mind of what you're saying. So I know that inherently because I read X-Men, but what if you don't?
Yeah.
I don't know what age, the Hulk was, what Bruce when he became the Hulk. Who gives a shit?
It needs context that you don't get in the actual comic.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Should this have been a issue 1?
You literally take out the fight scene in issue 1, and you put this one in. It's the same issue.
Yeah. It doesn't even matter.
Well, but to me, the stakes here and the end product is so low. We get the mission statement, and that's issue 1. Issue 2 is we deal with those cultists or whatever. Beast and the sheriff explain what they're doing there, and we get that bigger cliffhanger with the sentinel over the tower, and we get this brooding look at Magneto. That ups the stakes a little bit more than just fake alien invasion. It
There's no
it grounds us a little bit more.
there's no real forward momentum in the plot outside of a little cliffhanger in this.
Yeah.
It's essentially the same thing we just saw.
I don't know
With
who's
with less exposition.
yeah, I don't know who said it in the chat. I don't know if one of you two remember. I was searching for it. I can't see it, but like the fact that this new mutant is probably just going to be their danger room is like, oh, okay,
I did see that.
Oh,
That's
yeah, I
That
saw
makes
that
sense.
comment. Yeah,
yeah.
that's crazy. I hadn't thought of that. Kudos to whoever that was that had that thought. You're probably right.
Yeah.
Um, I'm passing. I think I have decided that I want to give this an arc because I really want to be fair, and I love Ryan Stegman. But I'm telling you guys, it's not because I love this fact, but it is a fact right now. I cannot connect with Jed McKay. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It feels like everything is baby's first X-Men story, baby's first Avengers story, baby's first event. And I've been reading comics for a really long time. Maybe this is that. Maybe this is specifically for the newer readers. But if you just came off of Krakoa, this feels pedestrian. If you used to read X-Men and you dropped off because of Krakoa, this feels pedestrian. There's no X-Men reader except a very first reader to whom this is going to feel like a brave, new, dynamically interesting path forward.
it's the little golden book of X-Men.
What?
Oh, that's like little kids' books. Never mind.
Pass.
I think it's a pass for me too. I'm gonna keep reading it because I hate myself, but it's a pass. Jed McKay works much better for me on smaller ensemble books or single led books. Doctor Strange, Moon Knight, fucking killer. This,
Yeah.
eh.
We've got a couple people saying that in the chat, and I sort of am inclined to check it out, but I'm also like between this Avengers and Blood Hunt, I'm like, man, I don't know.
Not great. I don't know, man. That batting average for my money is low.
It's pretty much 50-50. Like if you line up his books, it's like these are good, these are passable.
Hey, we've got 50 plus of you here with us right now. Thank you. Appreciate that. Make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe if you are not subscribed to our channel. It means a lot. It helps us out a lot. Go ahead, Cale.
We had a question in between the reviews that I wanted to pull out because I do think it's important. Thor's Drinking Buddy asked, do y'all post the pull list somewhere so we know what books to look out for so that we can pre-order?
We don't. I guess we could start doing that on Discord.
If he's asking for specifically, yeah, full pull list is interesting because we'll put out what the show is. Like we'll talk about it on the show, and then on Wednesdays I'll put out exactly what we're reading because then the poll is done.
Most of the time we do the 5
Yeah,
or 6 most popular things.
Yeah. If you're talking about like way in advance, if there was a groundswell of people that wanted that, we could post that on Discord, but you can find out what we're going to be reading that week on Wednesday around 1 p.m. Tyler generally gets a post up that showcases what we're going to be reading that week. So if you need more advanced notice than that, let me know if that's what you meant. CW Gordon said, now this is back to basics. That's right. That is right.
That's what they wanted. Can't wait for the films.
Well, hey, Pete Collins said, I enjoyed this issue. Little weird, killer art, bit of an emotional twist towards the end. Last page was intriguing.
one little bit.
Which
too.
last page? Which last page? As opposed past the QR code?
There's no QR code here.
Oh, there's an. Oh, okay.
Not an issue too. X Factor does have one though. One thing too that I've noticed is that there is a distinct lack of a uniform with these X-Men teams. They are all individually designed, much more like superheroes than we're used to lately. Like it used to be, yellow and gold and blue, or blue team, gold team, or then like Morrison and Quitely's run. This adding with the fact that there's a lot of solo comics coming for the X-Men, just seems like even though it's an X-Men team, it's a superhero team, which is never really what the X-Men has felt like for me, outside of like Astonishing, but that was the mission objective, Um, I'm noticing it a little bit, and I'm not sure how I feel about that.
For me personally, it doesn't feel good. I mean, Krakoa didn't have I were they in straight uniforms?
No.
No.
No, they weren't. And that was kind of like a part of the Krakoan era was that they weren't. And X-Men at that time by Jerry Duggan was a superhero book. And when it was written by Hickman, it wasn't even an X-Men teen book. It was just like Scott Summers' Family Adventures. So even though I agree with you, there is a precedent for this and a recent one at that. But notably, I don't think you liked Jerry Duggan's X-Men.
I didn't keep up with it, which I guess is enough to say.
Yeah. So you feeling that way doesn't surprise me. And I feel that way too. But if this were just a better book, I wouldn't be put off by that. I'll be like, okay, they're superheroes.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, like my worry is like, are they just gonna be the next Avengers?
They could never be the Avengers, unfortunately.
No,
Not at this.
The Avengers can never be them. That's how I feel.
Both are true, and I think that's sort of the point.
Well, listen, Jed McKay keeps going. You're both gonna be proven wrong.
Zuari Zavarino Jr. says, what I feel, Uncanny X-Men is fucking brilliant. Everything else it's bringing it down. It needed to be only Uncanny X-Men for a while. Yeah, I mean Uncanny X-Men is stellar. I really love that first issue. I'm not ready to make a verdict on the whole of the line yet. It's too early. What else do we have? Go ahead.
Ismail Moonsif, you're new. They say as much. I'm new here. What is your favorite X-Men? Mine is Storm, Wolverine, and Polaris. Mine is Cyclops and Magneto. Thank you for asking.
Mine are Jean Grey and Cyclops.
Mine is Cyclops. Man, 3 Cyclops right off the board. And Nightcrawler.
And then they also asked, there was a good question from them.
Interesting 3 aspects of Cyclops too that are our pairings are very very different.
Mentor, partner, and teammate, essentially.
Well, right. and also a little bit of like sense of humor in there,
Yeah. Ismail also asked, I saw one of your streams about the best superhero rivalries. What do you guys think about Red Skull and Captain America rivalry? I think you didn't mention it. So, since you're new here, I will definitely say this. This show is more about reviewing the weekly comics, so we tend to not get into, bigger topics like that. But since you're new, we will answer that question. I love Red Skull and Captain America. One of my favorite runs is the Ed Brubaker Cap. And that was the first time I really saw those characters in comics in comics, yes. And I thought that seeing them play off each other was incredible. And it's been a lot of fun to see that rivalry play out over the years. One of the most iconic covers of all time. Well, it features Captain America punching Hitler, but I kind of think about Red Skull when I see that for some reason.
Somebody clipped Sean saying, I love Red Skull out of context.
Red Skull's a great character.
It's funny, like when I think of Red Skull, the first thing that comes to mind is Magneto beating the shit out of him. Like it's strangely not Cap. It gets there eventually when I think about it more. I don't know. Red Skull Testament. I think Greg Pak did one about Red Skull. It's like his origin. Is it Manifest?
Magneto Testament.
There was another Red Skull one as well.
Oh.
It was in the same vein as it actually. Pretty good book. Yeah.
Gavin hey, what's up, Gavin? Gavin Guidry, our boy, Birds of Prey artist. Gavin Guidry says Nightcrawler, Gambit, Iceman. Why didn't you put Gambit first?
He had to swerve you a little bit, Sean.
You're right.
Yeah.
Pete says Cyclops and Nightcrawler. Oh, well, that was what you said, Tyler, right?
Yeah,
Great minds, Pete.
There you go. I love to see everybody answering the question.
Also, my two favorite characters to play as in the arcade game.
sure.
All right. Speaking of X books, let's talk about X Factor. Number one is written by Mark Russell with art by Bob Quinn, who is returning to the X books. Did some books during the Krakoan era. Colors by Jesus Abertov, letters by Joe Caramagna. And I would say that if you haven't read this and you really, really, really do not want to have the ending of this or the real premise of this book spoiled for you, then unfortunately you should probably not continue to listen, because the ending of this book and the real sort of point of this book is not exactly the same as the way it's been sold. And I think we all sort of knew that going into it, that it couldn't just be what it was on the docket, and it's not. And I think that's for the better, but I'm very interested to hear what you guys thought of this book. So let me give the initial pitch. Basically, this issue is, hey, mutants are over the top powerful, and there are a lot of them, and they're scattered now. We need a government response. And so, there's a guy who's putting together an X Factor team that is going to do missions that are extremely dangerous, that involve other mutants. And ultimately, they kind of want to get this over on social media. And so the team that we get in this issue, which is Angel, Feral, Fire Fist, Zyber, Cameo, and Havoc, they're fodder. Not unlike the Suicide Squad.
At the beginning of the movie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's literally the premise of X-Statix that happens in the first issue, too. You get introduced to a team, they kill them off reality TV. One of them survives, and the next team is that's what the book is about. It's like, welcome back, X-Statix. Which actually, X-Statix started as X Factor, too. And then it turned into X-Statix in terms of its title. That's not a bad thing. I really like X-Statix. That's Peter Milligan and Mike Allred. But is it weird that I kind of wish it was Greg Land doing the art too inside interiors? Like, I see this cover and I think thematically it works well. But yeah, this is fine for me. Because I had read X-Statix, this was it did feel a little derivative. Instead of being like a commentary on the advent of reality TV, it's more of the commentary of social media, which wasn't really a thing back then. It's fine. It's kind of how I feel about it.
I really didn't like this. This book had it's written by Mark Russell, and I already don't like the way Mark Russell writes. I find Mark Russell to be very preachy and at times sort of, to throw it in your face, sanctimonious. And I felt that a lot here, especially with the social media, especially with the government angle, and then the TV guy with the government. And it was all stuff that felt purposefully engineered to annoy me. So I was not here for this.
I was in the exact same boat as Cale for probably 80-90% of this. I really like the Bob Quinn art. I think Bob Quinn is a strong artist. I always was happy whenever he was on a book during the Krakoan era, so it was nice to see him come back into the mix here. I think he's got a good style for this because it's not too serious, and he can definitely play on some of the bits that are supposed to be funny and quirky. So I think he does a good job on that side of things. And I like the fact that this book uses Angel in a serious way, and it's kind of saying like, hey, Angel is one of the OG X-Men. So he's actually a good superhero. He's actually talented. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to even Angel can lead a team, right? You wouldn't think of him as a leader, but in this kind of arena where everybody he's with is essentially the job squad, he's the guy. And he's in over his head. They don't have a successful first mission. He spends most of the time trying to save the other mutants who are scared of dying in this situation. And even he barely makes it out alive. So I thought that, underneath all of the stuff that Cale just said that annoys the shit out of me was a really interesting story with Angel and something that is compelling to me, although I don't know if the book is going to touch on it, is for a group of people in the mutants who have had their species whittled down to an exact specific number, 198, for there to be a government agency who is willing to callously put mutants in a situation where they could die and no one cares, that's a big deal to me as a mutant fan. So I like what Mark Russell is playing with. I just don't know if I like the tone that he's taking to play with it. I don't think I can get through that.
Yeah.
I do like how it's a meta commentary on Angel too, because like out of the original 5, he's the jobber. Like outside of like Archangel, which he can't even be anymore, and they kind of poke fun at here. Like, what has he really done? So yes, it's name recognition and he's iconic, but he's also like the last one you get out of those 5.
Yeah, like when they thought they were getting Beast, there was a funny moment where like they thought Beast was going to be on the team, and they were like, "Oh, Beast, yeah, hell yeah!" But it's just the knockoff of Morph.
Yep. Yeah. Cameo.
My question is, looking at this from like a continuity standpoint, how many mutants decided to stay and not go with Krakoa? Like, why would you stay if you're like Cameo or Fire Fist? What do you have to do?
This,
I guess.
it sucks, Tyler, because we're never going to get an answer to that question. That is actually a good question, and it's one of the problems that I have with this new era is that, well, Earth is shitty. What the hell? They want to kill us all day, every day. And why would I stay here? To fight the good fight. But there are plenty of mutants who aren't fighting any fight. So I don't know. I will pull this, although I don't think this series is actually for me. I don't think it does anything really wrong. It's just Mark Russell is a very specific voice that works for me in very specific circumstances. And I don't know if this is one of those where I'm in love.
I'm surprised by that, Sean, but yeah, I'm curious to see where it goes. It's still a pull for me. I tend to let Mark Russell cook on things, and I tend to enjoy him. That's just my taste. Even though this feels a little derivative to something I've already read, even though I've enjoyed that original thing. I'd be curious to see if he even pokes fun at that as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard pass for me.
Nothing here for you, huh?
No.
Not even the Bob Quinn art?
I thought the art was fine. Yeah. I'll go back and look at some Bob Quinn art. I'll Google Bob Quinn and have a look at his art. I don't know.
He did a good 007 run a couple years back.
Sure, great. Yeah. I'll go buy that.
Sounds sick. I'd love to see that. All right, fine. So I guess that means it's time for the listener pick of the week.
Dog.
Yes, indeed. Now, before we get into the book, I do want to say thank you to everybody that voted in the poll last week and this week. I still want to see that number get up over 300 consistently. So if you're a regular listener of this show, if you can hear my voice, make sure that you go to youtube.com/thecomicspals under the community tab and cast your vote in this week's listener poll. I just shared a link to it in the chat so you guys can easily access it. The options that we have this week are pretty good, I would say. We've got Powerpuff Girls #2. I said Powerpuff Girls #1 was a perfect comic book. I stand on it. Is #2 going to be just as good? Guess we'll find out. Red Coat, oh, and that has 14% of the vote. Red Coat #5, overwhelmingly winning right now, 37% of the vote. We are in our penultimate issue of the first arc. I have not been overwhelmed with love for Red Coat, but it's still solid, and I do want to see where things progress. So clearly you guys do too. It's winning right now. Destro #3, also on here. G.I. Joe, Energon Universe, you know the deal. And Namor #2. Namor #1, I thought was a big surprise. It was really good, I believe. And so we are giving it another shot here on the poll. 24% of the vote. Get your vote on and let us know what it is that you want us to read next week. Now, for the book that won the poll this week, that would be Ultraman X Avengers.
Wow.
An Ultraman book on this podcast.
What
if
is
they're
it?
crossing
Birthday?
If they're crossing over with the Avengers, then yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Written by Kyle Higgins and Matt Groom, who both are a part of the Radiant universe. Francesco Manna on art.
Yeah.
Colors by Matt Miller. Letters by Ariana Mayer. And long story short, Galactus, he hungry. And he want to eat. He finds a new herald on some random planet called Zarab. And he's like, hey, man, you want to be my herald? The guy's like, yeah, fuck it. So the Earth is being invaded by Galactus, and they throw that man through a portal. He ends up, going through it and coming out, somewhere in this universe where the Ultraman lies and the science team or whatever they're called. They meet Miles Morales, who comes through the portal alongside, eventually, basically the team of Avengers. They get into a big kaiju fight, and the end. Cale, speak your mind.
Yeah. No, I was actually very surprised by this. This is normally the type of crossover that I loathe. The Avengers meets Transformers, the Justice League and the Power Rangers meets Godzilla. Not interested. No, thank you. But within the past couple of years, Marvel and Subaraya, the company that does Ultraman, have made a very concerted effort to make Ultraman work in comics. And their stuff is standalone, and it plays really well. I was not looking forward to this, and it worked. It worked really well. It is very expository. I think it has to catch a lot of people up on Ultraman and like what that whole thing is about. But I felt like it was really clear. It's wordy, but the cool stuff happens. And now that all that's out of the way, we're gonna get some cool stuff.
It's table setting. It's the necessary table setting they need to do. And when I finished this, I was like, this had no right being this good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm with you. I see an Avengers X something book, and I'm like, all right, cool. Somebody will sell it. It'll maybe do well in digital. Not my thing. Especially Ultraman. Not my thing. Sorry. It's just I don't know too much about it.
Get it?
But I got to the end of this. I'm like, man, was that a better Avengers book than Avengers?
I think that remains to be seen.
We'll see. Yeah, that's why I had a question. I'm like, oh, hold on, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was goofy, kind of dumb. The fact that Miles is in New York City when Galactus is attacking, and he says, "Yeah, I'm not sure what was going on." I'm like, dude, First
To be
time?
fair, he probably wasn't even born when Galactus
That's true.
showed up the first time.
So, A, I would pretty much buy any comic that has Galactus in it. I love Galactus. Love, 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 love. So I didn't know he was in this. And when I saw
Yeah.
him on, basically the second page, I was like, oh shit, this is probably going to be pretty good.
And
Yeah, when I saw that too, I went, "Oh, they're doing this." Okay.
when I saw it, also beautifully drawn too.
Yeah.
Like that shot where he's like huge. I'm like, oh, that's Marvel's kaiju. Like, let's be real.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get to see a Galactus maybe get like punched right in the beef. I'm excited.
By Ultraman. Oh, that's gonna be cool.
That's like a wet dream for you.
That's pretty close.
You better bring out the plastic sheets.
I also thought that the dialogue for the Marvel characters, specifically Miles, was pretty good. His voice felt right. I liked him a lot. And I like the other characters too, like the non-Marvel ones, the
Mm.
ones we were being introduced to here. I couldn't tell you what their names were, but that's okay. There was a lot of expository dialogue. It felt like they were trying to catch you up on who Miles is, who the Avengers are, who Ultraman is, who the science team are, who what a guy, like just a lot of stuff. But it was all really nice to look at because the art was fantastic. Francesco Mana. I'm not sure, can't think of another book I've seen with their art, but it was excellent. I also really like the colors. I thought that like even just like the pinks we get, the blacks and pinks in this image here of
Yeah.
Galactus, that all looks beautiful. The way he's kind of shadowed there, and then the contrast of the shadow with the pink there, that shit look cool. Um, a lot of great panel work done as well all throughout.
I really like the way that it's not gonna work. The page where the two mechs are fighting and Shin is having the conversation with Ultraman in his head.
Trying to
Um,
find it.
the bottom panel where like Shin, so the way Ultraman works is when he's Ultraman, that when the alien is fighting, he'll cut inside to sort of a limbo space where the bottom of that page, Sean, where you focus on the actor, and that's where the emotion comes from in the show. And so they kind of talk to each other back and forth. And the way this is depicted here with Ultraman sort of in the background, I thought was that looks so cool.
Sean Mana was on Ram V's Carnage. I knew I recognized the name.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that was a great looking book. So
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah, no, Cale, I agree. That's a really cool that like I love that. And I don't
Yeah,
know if I've ever seen that before. I mean, I guess I probably have, but I just thought it was a cool device.
yeah.
Um,
And they pull it off really well.
it's not my pick of the week, but it's certainly my surprise of the week.
Also, the fact that Wasp was in it. Let's go. I
Yep.
thought that was a great bit where like one of the Ultraman characters was like, so who are you? She's like, well, I'm a fashion designer. I run the team. Like that's what she does. And
Yeah,
I also turn
yeah.
small. Yeah.
He tells her, "Hey, nice. I get really big." And she says, "You don't build androids on the side, do you?" And he's like, "No." And she's like, "Good. That's good."
Yeah. You don't hit women, do you?
Oh my god. You know what? Yeah, pull. This was very good. I enjoyed this.
Pick easy pick of the week for me. And it reminded me that I need to go look up the Ultra 7 uh mini series that came along with the Ultraman series.
I read the first issue of Marvel's Ultraman, and I remember enjoying it, but I didn't keep with it. This is a pull
I
for me though.
I recommend it. I genuinely I enjoyed it, and I think it is worth your time.
Izzy's issue says, "Let's see Ultraman versus Fing Fang Foom." Yes.
That's one of the variants. Actually, I should have pulled it for this.
That's yeah.
That is one of the variants.
I would love that. Flo Dameron says, Avengers versus Aliens. What's up, Flo? Good to see you, bud. Avengers vs. Aliens by Hickman and Ribic is going to save the comic industry. It's going to sell 1 million copies. Of course.
Dude, I saw Assad Ribic did a variant cover for Scrooge McDuck. That was killer. It doesn't make any sense that how good it was, but
I have to
yeah.
look that up. I
That
don't know
that
if I
that
believe
cured me.
that.
Amin said, no DC books this week. I'm sad. Those AP tie-ins hit really hard. Task Force getting good. Is it? I feel like I had read that it wasn't great, but maybe I'm bugging. I don't
I
know.
think I think Hound said it wasn't very good.
Yeah. I just I don't even know what I pulled from DC this week. I can't think off the top. Well, I can think of one book I pulled, and we don't need that on the show. Yeah, I don't know. This just didn't feel like a good week for DC Comics. I don't know. Certainly wasn't on my radar DC this week. Columbo says Batman and Robin was killer this week. Book's not on my radar anymore. I've been dropped it. Columbo, or not Columbo, Thor's drinking buddy asks, is this continuity? Don't think about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't think about it. It does seem to be a little bit older. Like it seems like that the previous incarnation of the Avengers, where it was Sam Wilson, Jane Foster, and Miles and Kamala were on the team.
The Mark
Kamala's
Waid.
not here for whatever reason. Yes,
Yeah.
the Mark Waid run. Yeah,
Really?
I don't, I don't, I don't think there's any. That's just where it fits in to me. Just the team makeup seems the same.
Yeah, it's so hard because like these are also the same minus Miles and Wasp. These are also the exact same Avengers we have right now.
Yeah.
So it's like, but it's also the same Avengers we had back then. So I really don't know.
It's just the
Yeah,
most
yeah.
recognizable one right
Yeah.
now. That's all.
Yeah.
That's probably true.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, the only reason I say that I think is probably because Miles is on the team.
One other
Yeah.
thing I liked about it is the fact that Kyle Higgins got it out of the way, and both Spider-Man were like, "Oh, don't we know a Spider-Man who has a mech?" Like, all right, cool. Discussion done.
CW Gordon says, so Sean is buying Gotham City Sirens. Well, I bought issue 1 and I enjoyed that. I did like it. Cosmo, I don't know shit about Ultraman. I feel so out of the loop right now. Hey, neither do I. But I don't know if you read this issue or not, but as someone who did with no knowledge of Ultraman, I didn't feel lost at all. If you've ever seen like Power Rangers, it's a sort of similar concept. It's some dudes that can get into a dude who's big and they fight big monsters. I don't know.
Okay.
Pretty,
He's not wrong, Tyler. You can't.
He do be getting into other dudes. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, pretty straightforward. And then we can answer this
Not
question and then we'll
straight.
get into the next book. Thor's drinking buddy says, after dropping a title, what does it take for you to give it another try?
New creative team usually.
A new creative team and good premise.
If you mean giving another try to that same creative team, for me, I would say that generally doesn't happen unless word of mouth is really good or it comes up here for on the show for some reason. If we're talking about a new creative team, so a title that goes through a transition, then generally for me, if it's like X-Men, I'll buy it no matter who is on it. The names don't really matter. If it's not one of my go-tos, then the creative team and the premise is really going to matter.
Gavin says my involvement.
That is a big factor right now. Who's doing the art? Do I know them? Do I like them? Yeah.
I'm waiting to see the Gavin variant cover for Uncanny X-Men with Gambit on it. We know it. Come on.
That has to happen.
Come on.
Right? Like Gavin has to get some type of involvement in, I would say, this iteration of X-Men. Like it's not going to take a new regime or a new era for Gavin to get a shot at drawing Gambit.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. All right. Let's review our next book. Jonny Quest. Dynamite Comics delivering yet another throwback comic. We did Powerpuff Girls. They've got the Thundercats and all that jazz. Now we're on to Jonny Quest, written by Joe Casey, with art by Sebastian Perez, colors by Lorenzo Scaramella. That's a cool name. And letters by Taylor Esposito. It's been a long time since I have watched Jonny Quest, but I was a big fan. I enjoyed it quite a bit. And this issue has the characters generally that you remember. They are on an interesting quest, if you will. There is some type of continuity from a Free Comic Book Day issue that I didn't read. So if you didn't read that, then you might not fully exactly understand why they are where they are, but I don't think it matters too much. You could pick up the context just fine. This book has a twist to it that I don't remember if this twist makes sense with the show or not, like if they'd ever happened in the show or anything like that. But it definitely made me go, oh, this went from I like this fine, but I don't need any more of this to I need to see what the rest of this is going to look like.
This is what I was looking for with like the Thundercats. Something similar, but then a hook to make me go, okay, let's go.
Which is kind of how I felt with Powerpuff Girls, honestly. Like this was like it's Jonny Quest, but it's a Jonny Quest comic. How can we play with that? Oh, let's take a real comic book trope. Can we spoil it? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
It's Old Man Logan, but it's Old Man Jonny Quest. And so playing with that comic booky trope in something that isn't comic book isn't its first form. And that's kind of what I wanted, a bit of a transformation of the IP. And I thought it was pretty good. I got real Doc Shaner vibes from the Perez art on this as well. Some of the jetpack flying was like, oh, okay, Strange Adventures ish, kind of dig it. That's another one where I was like, man, why was this good? You know, I'm just not used to IP comics being something I enjoy.
Yeah, I thought this ruled. I thought all the way down to the dialogue. Like I could hear it in the characters' voices. Especially when they say someone's name right after the full sentence. Right? No, I know about as much as you do, Race.
I love that.
Constantly, too.
Yeah, yeah. But it just, I like the other thing that I really like is the way Race and Dr. Quest and Johnny and Haji's sort of they have like parallel adventures through this issue. They kind of figure the mystery out at the exact same time, and they both go, "Oh, we can't tell that." No, I thought that was really clever writing because it made me go, "Oh, whoa, how is this going to play out?" And then the very next page, they take care of it.
Do you wish they would have dangled that one a little longer?
Sorry?
Do you wish they would have dangled that kind of mystery a little longer?
No.
Okay.
No. Not necessarily, no, because I think the hook is what we're here for. Dr. Quest tells us the thing, right? We've gone forward in time. Oh, what does that mean? Well, the next page is Johnny and Haji coming across their graves, right? Like,
yo, dude, I was like, what?
Yeah.
What the fuck is happening here? Are you kidding me right now? Jonny Quest is making me feel like this? When I saw my man with the cane?
Yeah. Why hadn't changed those clothes and who knows how long?
We're in the same clothes. My man hasn't changed his clothes one time in about 75 years.
Couldn't even find a belt.
The other bit I like too is when they're going through Dr. Quest's office and they find a journal. It's like, oh, this one has an entry from 2003. That's the future.
Yeah.
This was awesome, man. I had a great time with this comic. I definitely want to see where it goes. I don't know if it's going to have me on the hook forever. I already dropped Space Ghost and I dropped Thundercats and those. Like, they were fine, but I got it and I'm good. With this one, it's meaningfully different enough. I liked Jonny Quest well enough, and I think this issue was genuinely good enough to make me feel like I want to see what more they have to say with these characters. So I will be giving this a shot in the future, and I say pull.
Yeah, I agree. I say pull. I love Johnny Quest, and I'm pumped I get to live in a world where uh I get to read one.
I think it's a good issue. I think if Johnny Quest is your thing, it's a pull. I think it's a pull for me. I can't say I would pass on it because I did enjoy it. Um, but I don't know if I'm going to keep reading it. I got a lot on my plate, so I don't know if this makes the cut. But it's a pull.
Fair enough. To what we had said earlier about Gavin drawing Gambit, he said no comment. To which I say, to which I say, Gavin, let's have a talk. All right. Now, you did something for us that was absolutely incredible. I'll say it. You did something for me that was absolutely incredible. You got Half Gloves into a DC comic. It was a beautiful thing. I can't even believe you pulled it off. Now, if you happen to have the chance to draw Gambit, that means you might also have the chance to draw Rogue. That's all I'm going to say. Like a splinter in your mind. That's all I'm going to say. And if it happens, I'll know. I will know. And I'll
We'll
love it.
tell. Yeah, we got a whole audience that'll tell you.
Mm-hmm. He said, oh, Lord. It's a different game when you're playing with Marvel, right? Cosmo says, this question kind of goes for Powerpuff Girls by Kelly Thompson, too. Should I pick it up even though I have no clue who this Jonny Quest fella is and never seen Powerpuff Girls for that question particularly? I don't know because I feel like nostalgia is part and parcel of these. Like, you kind of, I'm not saying you can't read Powerpuff Girls or Jonny Quest and go, wow, that was a well executed comic book, and notice it on those levels. But I don't really think that you'll care, and I don't think there's enough groundwork done to make someone care without the context. The best thing these books get to do is eschew all that context, or like not have to build in all that context because they assume you come in already knowing things.
It's baked in at that point.
Exactly. Like Powerpuff Girls doesn't have to explain to you why they have powers or, you know, any of those things.
Well, and with the Powerpuff Girls, it's baked into the intro,
Yeah.
which I think we did get. I can't remember. In the comic.
I don't remember.
So, it's not like, they're little girls that are superheroes. It's not, there's not a huge barrier of entry here. Whereas like Johnny Quest, I think is a little different. There's not lore, but there is stuff I guess you should know. He's a kid adventurer. His dad's a scientist. The other guy is their bodyguard, and Haji is his adopted brother.
Yeah. I always say, like, if it intrigues you, give it a shot.
Yeah.
If the conversation we're having intrigues you and you've got a little bit of expendable, income, couldn't hurt.
Couldn't hurt.
Yeah. Go watch some Johnny Quest cartoons, says Mark Howard. I got to do that. I want to see Johnny Quest again. It's been a minute. I used to be locked in on Boomerang. And when they would give Johnny
Same.
Quest and those older cartoons, the Smurfs, oh my God, please.
The Snorks.
The Snorks.
Sure.
I was a big Quick Draw McGraw guy.
Hey, listen, what's he called? Kung Fui.
Hong Kong Fooey.
Yes.
Kung Fui, of course.
Yes.
Did you guys watch it was the 90s. It was like Johnny Quest Adventures.
Yep. Yeah.
It was just a little bit older and it was just slightly edgier for the Toonami audience.
Yeah.
I think I did.
Yeah.
Used to
I
be like
remember it
right
too.
before or after reboot or something like that.
Yeah.
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 Here's one. Here's one. This is I'll be shocked. I think Cale could have it. I don't know about you, Tyler. Do you guys remember? This is such an obscure show. Mighty Max.
Was there a toy line?
I mean, I'm sure.
That sounds familiar based on a toy line.
I don't even know. I might have watched Mighty Max like a small handful of times. There was a Mighty Max video game that I loved. This game is hard as shit. I've never beaten it to this day. I've tried as an adult, but I
Oh,
loved the game and the aesthetic and even the show a little bit. I don't know if
is it
I
a
don't. Maybe I'm speaking to myself here. No one has seen it.
is it a horror show?
It has
Kid with
elements of
a
that.
kid in a white t-shirt with a red cap.
Yeah.
I think I do remember this.
He looks like Captain N.
Oh my god, I love this shit.
The brain suckers cometh. Norman's conquest.
The barbarian looking guy looks familiar to me, but I'm not sure about Mighty M. Mighty Max.
I'm looking at a still with like two girl characters I recognize.
Gavin says the boy version of Polly Pocket.
Yeah,
And
that's what I was
Phenomenal
gonna say.
AC. Hey, AC, good to see you. Says, yes, there were toys.
I've got it was a massive toy line. I'm on Google Images right now and it's full of these Polly Pocket looking you know, makeup cases that have the little adventure sets in
Yeah, he
them.
definitely had one of those.
Damn, I didn't
Escapes from
know.
Skull Dungeon.
I didn't know they had all those toys. I used to play that game and beat my head against the wall all day. Saturday afternoon, I would finish watching all the cartoons on there. Then I would put on Mighty Max to get my ass beat nonstop on the Sega.
Dang, Tangles with Lockjaw. Look at this guy. He's scary. Wow, I can't believe they put this on TV.
Thor's drinking buddy says, "Do y'all read horror comics?" Yes.
Hell yeah, we do.
Something is killing the children. World Tree. Uh, those are all great. There are a
Universal
lot of great
Monster
ones.
ones, those are good.
Yeah,
Scream
there's a
Man.
horror renaissance right now. Geiger's kind of horrifying, I would say.
Kinda.
Not a horror character per se, but I could see a horror book featuring Geiger. I'll read anything written and drawn by Jeff Johns and Gary Frank, especially if it's colored by Brad Anderson and lettered by Rob Lee. And with this issue of Geiger, this being Geiger number 5, I have good news. I have good news. For my money, which I have spent many dollars and cents on Geiger to this point, this is the best issue of this particular Geiger series we've gotten yet. I enjoyed this quite a bit. So this issue is the blow off with the electrician, who is this guy who is in a suit that I guess is meant to protect him from the electricity and presumably possibly the radiation of Geiger. And he has been trying to collect on a bounty that is on Geiger's head. And he has finally caught up with Geiger and the Nuclear Knight, and he gives them hell. And they have to figure out a way to kill this guy, and hanging in the balance, their lives for sure, but also the life of Barney, the two-headed dog that we all love. And this was the first time through these 5 issues where I was able to really connect with Geiger on an emotional level, because he really doesn't want to see Barney die. And that's significant to him because Barney is the last vestige he has of a life that's connected to family and to, the people and things that matter the most to him in the world. There's really not much left. And so he goes to war for his dog, and the resulting conflict I thought was awesome. So I really enjoyed this issue.
It's almost a little cheap to go with the dog route because it's so baked in, the emotional stakes there, but it's still good. It's still got me. There's that one panel. I grabbed my iPad. Where is it? Where there's like Geiger got the crud kicked out of him, and he's like on the floor. I think it's a 4-panel single page. Yeah, and it's him getting electrocuted, but then he flashes back to getting Barney as a puppy, and then he sees Barney like in his mind's eye in that cage, and using that, he gets the power to kind of fight back. And the paneling by Gary Frank too is a little scratchier. It's the paneling's beat up. They're not just straight lines for the squares. Um, it's just real good cinematic storytelling, which I think something Jeff has talked about when he's been on the show. That like this feels like you can see this in a movie. Um, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot.
I think this issue has been my favorite Gary Frank moments. Because he is, and with the page I'm going to reference, he is frying up some stuff here. The page where Geiger's getting electrocuted and it's the full page. You want to talk about cinematic? Like everywhere I look on this is such a well detailed, well rendered moment of like lights and colors and shadows that make shapes that are sinister and um create such an evocative image. And it's a full page of one moment that lasts so long. Like when I read it, it really, I sat with it
Mm.
just looking at it. And equally, toward the end, there's another one. It's when Geiger gets the dog back. It's redemption. It's Geiger holding the dog in the rain, and he says, "I've got you." Um, those two moments, like juxtaposed against each other, like Tyler, is cinematic, completely just um uh, incredible. Easily those two pages, I could look at those through this whole series and say it's right here.
You're probably seeing Blake in those too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
it kind of
very
does
true.
look like a darker Blake with two heads.
When we when we interviewed Jeff and he talked about cinematic storytelling, he talked about, the moment and letting the moment breathe, and I think movies control the moment inherently by being a moving image, and comics kind of give you control over the moment, the reader. And I think a lot of times comics are a push and pull between creators trying to force you to live in the moment and you sort of saying, I'm in control here. But then you get to these two pages, what Cale described of Geiger being tortured, and there are no words. And it's him being tortured, and it's him seeing his first moments with Barney, and then seeing the state of Barney right now. And you feel it, and you live in it, and you stick with it. You don't breeze by these pages, and there are no words. There's nothing to read. That is power. That's the power that the creators have over you, that they can deliver a moment that makes you stop and go, oh, damn, and consider the emotionality of every single panel. How often do you just stop and consider every panel with no words on it?
It's like the closest thing to time control. This
Yeah.
Yeah.
John's did something really similar. I don't know if any of you have read it. It was Adventure Comics with Francis Manapul. It was a Superboy book.
Superboy.
Yeah, where he did like a whole. I think there was like a specific issue. Like Crypto was a supporting character. But there was a specific issue that was Crypto focused. And man, Jeff Johns and dogs mess me up in the best way possible. Like he just understands that just human relationship there. And he did it again. So kudos to you again, Jeff.
Yeah. Phenomenal. This is a great comic. This is the comic I've been waiting to come out of Geiger.
And I would say it did the thing that I needed it to do as well, like the stinger towards the end. Because we have been in the desert for a bit. We've been in this, like right outside of like Nevada area. They needed to blow up the world a little bit, and we got a bigger peek at that here. Especially for Red Junkyard Joe, you might like some of the things here. I also like how Funko Pop still exists in a post apocalyptic world. That seems appropriate. But it needed to give me more, which it is.
Yeah. For me, this is an easy pull. It makes it issues like this make it easy to recommend this book. I guess felt like an arc closure, but this is issue 5, not 6. So that makes me wonder how hard are they going to go with 6?
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Six could just be set up for the next arc.
Yeah.
Like a refractory period.
Yeah. This is good.
This will be the first issue of Geiger that I pull. I genuinely, and again, it's those 2 pages for me, completely sold it.
Well, I think it's finally getting its footing a bit in the new format with it being an ongoing. It feels more like that now.
Michael Nadeau asks, what was the comic Tyler was just talking about with Superboy?
Adventure Comics, Jeff Johns and Francis Manapul. What year was it? I don't remember. I'll figure it out. Pre New 52 though. That much I know.
Jose says, this issue might put Geiger and Rook Exodus at the same level now. I was not digging the direction Johns took with the Atomic Knight. Rook is hard to beat, dude.
Mm.
I think that's in my top 5 comics right now, like being published. Not that Geiger can't be, like if that is for you, then awesome. I just feel like Rook is on another level right now, just because it's delivered every time.
And this is the closest Geiger has felt like to the quality of Junkyard Joe, I think, for me, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark Howd says there's a great old sci-fi movie called A Dog and His Boy, a post-apocalyptic setting. Teenager has a telepathic connection to his dog. You could never do the amazing ending today.
That makes me want to find out what the ending is, but I don't like. What is it? A movie? A movie, yeah.
1975 film.
Oof, damn. That's like, I don't know if I go that far back.
Starring
Man,
Don Johnson, actually, of Watchmen.
I'm definitely going that far back.
Is he the kid?
Nash Bridges?
Is he the kid?
What's the oldest movie you guys have seen?
The oldest movie ever made.
Yeah, Nosferatu, maybe.
Train Leaving Station.
Yeah.
The oldest movie I think I've seen, well, I don't even know when this movie came out, actually, but I think it's the oldest movie I've seen. Chinatown.
I've seen Chinatown so many times. It was my my advisor in college, my screenwriting advisor. It was like his favorite movie, so I've watched it a lot. Good movie. Damn.
74. So you should feel good. You should feel good right at home with that.
Yeah, definitely. Thor's drinking buddy says, when y'all first started reading in the mid 2000s, how many titles did y'all follow? Over or under 20? I like that. Definitely. What? I mean, when I first started, obviously under. I would say if I were answering that question from the perspective of being like, let's see, I started in like 2004 or 5. By 2006, I had definitely more than 20 books on my list.
Yeah, when I started, it was only a couple. But like once I was like in it, there would be some weeks where I had 20 that week.
Yeah.
I also didn't have to pay bills or rent, so I had a little more disposable income as a, college freshman or a high schooler.
The chat is getting in my ass right now because I said the oldest movie I've ever seen was Chinatown. This is hilarious.
You didn't expect that, Sean?
Of course I did. Yeah. I love it. Okay, yeah, that's fair. Wizard of Oz. Yes, I've seen Wizard of Oz. And A Christmas Story, is that no, not A Christmas Story. What am I thinking?
It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life. Is that the one? What's that one?
Oh, that's Jimmy Stewart.
I don't know the name.
Jeremy Stewart.
That's the guy who he goes to Christmas Past and everything.
That's Christmas
No,
Carol.
that's a Christmas Carol.
Okay, yeah. So I've probably never seen It's a Wonderful Life.
Nah, I bet you haven't. I don't think you'd enjoy it.
Yeah, black and white. I'm gonna lasso you the moon. It's like a what if story about a guy's life if he wasn't around or something. So.
Guy, relax, guys. We have seen The Wizard of Oz.
King Kong, you know what, man? I don't even know if I've seen the original King Kong. I definitely got on the ride. I watched the shitty Peter Jackson version, but as far as the OG, I don't know that I've seen that. I don't think I have.
I almost want
Sorry.
to offer like a Sean hasn't seen, like a new show where we just discuss movies that Sean
You
hasn't seen.
you think you're coming up with something fresh, but let me tell you something. We had a plan to do a show called Sean Tries because
Yep.
of the vast, vast, vast
Yep.
amount of things that I haven't done,
Yep.
eaten, seen. I've never ridden a bike. I don't know how to drive. Like a lot of things have not been in my experience wheelhouse.
You can use Marco's car for that one.
Well, yeah. 12 Angry Men. I've never seen that.
I haven't seen that. That's actually what I would like to see.
Thor's drinking buddy, man, you got a lot of questions. Not that I'm complaining. I like it. What advice would you give a new comic reader that don't know about pull lists or solutions? Dive in. That's what I did. I dove in. I don't think you need to do like I know there are people who want to do like Wikipedia dives and they want to do, videos and everything else. I don't think you need to do all that. Like people get scared because the numbers are high and everything else, but frankly, forget about it. I started reading at a random issue of Ultimate Spider-Man, a random issue of Ultimate X-Men. You don't need to jump in on the ground floor. In fact, it's very hard to do that. Pick the characters you like, the genres you like, read what's hot in those.
And if you like it and it compels you to want to read the stuff you missed, then you're in. You're stuck. You're already in. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah, pick a cover you like for a character you like and enjoy.
Yeah.
Sean
Oh,
tries to read Catwoman's current run. I'm
I,
impressed.
I tried and
Tried,
failed. I did try. I was excited for it, as a matter of fact, but we know how that went. The Godfather. No, Rami, I have not seen The Godfather. Not a one, not a two, not a three.
Planet of the Apes?
Nope, not the OG.
Huh.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. Like I said, off the top of my head, I guess the oldest movie I've ever seen would be Wizard of Oz. But then after that, I don't know, Chinatown, I guess.
None of the Universal monster movies? Frankenstein, Dracula, Mummy? No?
No, no.
Okay.
I don't really care. I generally like to see modern things. Even when I was a kid, I didn't really like older things very much. I like what was new to me, except cartoons, I guess. Old cartoons I did like, but in terms of anything live action, I always wanted to see new things, modern things, I should say. Star Wars, but when was Star Wars? Is that older than 1975?
77
All
Star
right,
Wars, yeah.
yeah. So I've obviously seen that. Snow White. Which one? Is there a live action one that's old?
Have you not seen the cartoon?
Of course.
Oh, that's the first animated feature film of all time.
Yeah, but I figured we were talking about live action.
Sure, okay.
The Exorcist. I don't think I've seen that. Not the original one. Maybe. Did I watch that? Nah, I think we were scared. I think we were too scared. Clockwork Orange. No, we could do this all day. You guys are just gonna keep throwing movies at me, and I'm gonna give you the same answer because I am telling you that if it came out before like 1980 something, if it's older than Terminator, the likelihood that I have seen it is extremely low. I promise. I promise.
Dude, Snow White is from 37. I always forget
Nuts.
how old that is. Damn. It holds up. Phenomenal. I watch it like yearly.
Star Trek, yes, but again, it's a TV show. Have I seen the movies? No. And I also grew up with someone who was an ardent Star Trek fan. So because of him, I saw the shows, but never any of the movies.
Your uncle?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. He gives off that vibe, I guess. Rocky, yes. When is Rocky older than
No, these guys don't even know what. Rocky.
Rocky? I don't even think Sylvester Stallone was acting.
76, actually. It's older than I thought.
Oh, 76. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. But still, Chinatown is older than that.
Yep.
So, yeah. But Rocky, I've
The
seen a
whole
million.
show is now. This is like the new Sean stack.
Yeah,
You guys got
yeah.
gambling problems. I gotta say, I'm sorry.
Babylon 5? No, I've never seen it.
Cosmo's already put in his Sean Stack number, 76.
Michael Nadeau said, "Yep, we can. Discord will probably definitely continue the convo. Also, Clockwork Orange is also good. I saw that this year. I have been told to watch A Clockwork Orange like 150 million times. My aunt always says it. I just never, I don't care. I don't care.
I'm not sure it's for you. I'm a Kubrick kid, and it's not for me either. But sure.
Come on now. You want to, you look, we could flip this. I'll put you on. How many of you that are listening to me have seen the game? Huh?
Oh, that movie fucking rules.
How many of you have seen the game?
God.
One of the best movies ever made.
I watched that in an economics class and I was enthralled.
Yeah. Michael Douglas, talk to me.
I've not seen
Come
it.
on.
Talk to me.
I will watch it for you, Sean.
You should, and you're gonna love it.
I probably will.
You especially are gonna fucking love it.
This is before Michael Douglas got mouth cancer for eating too much pussy, right?
Well, it's in that genre of film where Michael Douglas gets so horny he ruins his entire life.
Oh, that's one of my favorite genres. I can't believe I haven't seen this.
Yeah.
That's what I aspire to be.
Yeah, preach.
It's one of the best movies ever made.
Wait, there's a creepy clown in it? I just searched the game. There's a clown doll. I might be out.
Don't look too deep because the movie is centered around a very specific premise that
yeah, I just want to see the poster.
Need to not know. Yeah. Uncanny Suit. I love you for this. He said, "I've seen the game. His name is Triple H." There you go. There you go.
Reference, sorry.
Wrestling.
Yeah.
There's someone I can mess with. Justin said, "I lost the game."
Come on.
I might have lost that game too, dude. That's quite a game.
You said the game. I'm like, oh, the member of G Unit. Like that's where my mind went first.
How would your mind go to? Okay.
I was big into G Unit when I was younger. Okay.
I can definitely see that. Sean, get a letterbox. Why? No, I don't want to. I share enough of my thoughts.
He's got what is called Pals Pulls.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Let's get into the stack. We've had fun. Let's have some more fun. For those of you who aren't familiar, the stack is a segment where at the end of every Pals Pulls episode, we take a look at how many books I bought this week, how many books were in my stack, my pull list, because I buy way too many comics. And I forgot to tease this earlier, but I'll tease it now. I made a mistake this week. I made a mistake. And I think I did something. I think you guys will be surprised when we get into it. When you see the number and when you see... I'll leave it there.
Did you relapse? Okay.
He did get that variant of X-Men. What did he get to is the question.
Yes. I don't know that.
Drop those numbers in the chat. Whoever gets closest without going over, as always, can either get a no prize or you can win a code for any of the Marvel books that we did not read for the show this week, except Ultraman X Avengers. That will be included. So any of the Marvel books I pulled that we didn't read, plus Ultraman X Avengers.
I could not resist a chance to, one, buy an Ultraman comic book, but also give the audience Ultraman. If you read Ultraman and Avengers this week and you were into it, you can catch a lot of the old stuff either on Pluto TV. If you're into that, there's the Tokusatsu channel, or Subaraya and Ultraman have a YouTube channel where they're putting everything up. The currency, it's all up for free. It's got subtitles, it's dubbed, it's subbed, and the whole thing fucking rules.
Nice. You're just a repository of knowledge when it comes to Ultraman.
You guys walked away, so I thought, well, I'll talk about Ultraman.
Cosmo said, very random new reader question. Are pull lists and pre-ordering a different thing? I can't find the info online and I don't get it. That's a great question. So they are essentially the same. Pretty much any comic shop, if you decide that you want to get your books in advance, you can set up a pull list with them, which all that really means is that now you're on a list and that list associates you with certain titles. So when you're LCS, your local comic book shop, is going to place their orders for, the books months in advance, they know that they need a copy for you and everybody else who has pre-ordered. So those people they're not gambling with. They're buying, let's say there's 50 people who want Ultimates at your shop that have pre-ordered and set up a pull list. They know they need at least 50 copies. Those are set in stone. The gamble copies are the ones that you see on the shelf. Those are the ones that they hope people come and buy. So you're doing your LCS and yourself, depending on where you live, a big service by setting up a pull list. Hope that answers your question. You guys ready? Thor's drinking buddy has one more question. Are you surprised comic fans still don't know anything about the creators of the books? I think a lot do. I think active comic book readers do, but when you get out into like outside of spaces like this where the assumption is that we are all kind of active readers and hip to the game, then you start to see more of that stuff. But yeah, let's get into the numbers.
Let's go. So we have Rami with 15, Amin with 15, Justin with 15, Triple Ho with 15, Uncanny Suit with 15, Pete Collins 19, Columbo 15, Moonarch 18, Marowak Oscuro 17, Izzy's Issues 17, Gavin with 15 and 1 cent. Michael Nadeau says 14, CW Gordon says 18, Lieutenant Dan has no legs, unfortunately, has 18 legs. James Jones says 20. Cosmo says 21. Cole says 18. Jeez, Lou, I want to be part of the crowd. I'm going to say 15.
Dude, how many 15s?
I'm gonna go.
That was
13. Yeah, do you have enough comics for that?
4,
We'll see.
5, 6, 7. 7. Now 7 15s in a row.
Wow. And Tyler, you said 13, yeah?
Lucky number 13.
All right, let's run it. We've got the 6 books that we reviewed here on the show. Then we have Immortal Thor. Immortal Thor number 14. This was excellent. This was very good. Immortal Thor continues to be one of Marvel's best books. Amazing Spider-Man number 55. I really enjoyed this. Well, did I? It was enjoyable despite being a little silly and kind of stupid. But for some reason, I don't know if that has a spell on me or what, but I just love this. I don't know.
What dirt does he have on you, Sean?
I don't know, man. Maybe we can't speak to that, but I did like this. I don't know. We've got Miles Morales Spider-Man, which was also quite good. This series is trying to do something with his vampirism, and I'm here to see what they're going to end up with. But it's compelling, and the art is crazy. The Vincenti art is nuts. He's a future star. He's got that anime sort of that manga sort of style that really feels appropriate for Miles.
Was he on Moon Knight for a bit too?
Yes,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was. Yeah. What else? We've got Transformers number 11, another good issue of this. Those are all the books that I actually was able to get to, so I'm pretty proud of myself that I read so many of these books and was able to. They were books I could read. I'm active with them. Napalm Lullaby number 6. I decided I was going to give this the full arc, but I think I'm off.
Ooh.
I think I'm off. Yeah. I didn't read this one yet, but so far I don't care. It's too on the surface. It's too on the nose.
It's a Remender, right?
It's more on the lullaby side for you, not the napalm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It may pick up.
It could. It did with Righteous Thirst for Vengeance, which I actually just finished. I just finished that. I caught up with it finally.
Dude, good all the way through. That's a good book.
Yep.
Is it complete? Is that one complete?
It's done. 12 issues,
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll jump back into that then.
I also got Action Comics 1068. Haven't gotten to that yet. Fantastic Four. Oh, shit. There were more books that I read. Fantastic Four number 23. Another really strong entry into Fantastic Four. This is, Marvel has something good on their hands with this. Green Lantern number 14. Still loving this. Still quite good. I did read this. Yeah, it's excellent.
Like how the two most books you just pulled have essentially the same cover. Fantastic Four, Green Lantern.
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I see what you mean.
Huh.
They're both covers feature the main characters in ships.
Same
So
orientation too.
yeah.
Same layout. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Amory Wars #4. What else we've got? Kel, are you keeping count? Because
Oh yeah.
all right. Batman Gotham by Gaslight, the Kryptonian Age #3.
That cover almost made me pick it up. Almost. But if I
Yeah,
was
it's
buying
good.
physically, I think I might have been suckered into it.
Gotham City Sirens #2. I really liked the first issue. I was excited to see Punchline. I have seen what the interiors look like of this. I'm less excited to see Punchline, but I do want to give this issue a try because I'm excited to see Punchline. And Secret Wars #8.
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
I
whoa,
did it
whoa,
bad.
whoa.
It's the whatchamacallit?
The facsimile
Yeah,
edition.
yeah.
The old head cover. The old
Yeah,
head is
right.
reissue. Secret Wars, for those of you who don't know, was the first comic I ever read. I got the collected edition when I was a kid, and I love this event. I love this cover. It's one of my favorites ever. And they had it, so I grabbed it. They had a foil version and a non-foil version. I said, what the hell? For $2, I'll get the foil version. So I did.
Yeah.
Where
Hell yeah.
was the book, Sean? Because it feels like you got to slow down in the shop to find that.
No, it
It was
was
just with the weekly
displayed.
releases.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that's it. What's the damages?
So I got 18. You might double check that. I think I got lost in the sauce at a certain point, but I think it's 18.
12 plus 6 is 18.
There we go.
And just double check, Sean. There's
18.
no other books lying around anywhere. Do a quick
There
visual
should
scan.
not be. I tried to be more cognizant of that this week. So the
Yeah.
final number should be 18, and that's what we were saying.
So we've got Moonarch. We've got C.W. Gordon. Lieutenant Dan has no legs. He has 18 legs, as we've stated. And Cole.
Whoa. 4 of you? That's the first.
We might have to start limiting the winners to whoever comes first.
We've been doing that the whole time. Yeah.
The truth is most of you don't collect anyways. Most of you just are happy with the no prize or whatever. But if you guys who did win want in, whoever was first, you can message me, and then whoever wants it can message me and we'll work it out. But I've got Ultraman X Avengers, I've got Fantastic Four, Miles Morales, the Immortal Thor, and Spider-Man that are all up for grabs. So if you want those, reach out to me on Discord after the show and I'll get you sorted.
Or however you could reach Sean. If that's Twitter, if that's
Yeah.
YouTube, whatever.
I'd much rather you hit me on Discord, but where Kale's right, wherever is clever. Thor's drinking buddy says, Sean, are you caught up with most of your pulls? Do you let them pile up then binge? If so, why not trade weight cheaper and no ads? A, I don't like to wait for anything. B, I really, really enjoy the experience of going to the shops every week. C, I'm trying to do better and keep up with everything. As you heard, I'm caught up with a majority of the books that I pulled right there. And D, I am very stuck in my ways and I will not be changing.
When we started the stack, Sean would go through the stack and the big joke was, oh, hey, Sean, how was that? And he would go, I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm getting better.
Yeah.
Hooray for me.
If only the money aspect was getting better.
Whew. I would love to catch you guys up on the series that I've been reading. I caught up on so much this week, but we'll save that for another time. Maybe this Saturday, maybe next week, whenever we can get to it. But I definitely have thoughts about a lot of the series that I caught up with. Izzy says, how's Undiscovered Country? Undiscovered Country is good. It's dry. It's Charles Soule and Scott Snyder with a lot of time to tell a story about what if America closed up shop. And they are meticulous, and I think it's good. The art's good, but it's dry. Giuseppe Camuncoli on art, who I love.
It is good looking. There's that one arc where it's like islands and like pop culture and like legends. Really good arc.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. All right, guys, we're gonna cut out of here. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. It's been fantastic. Real quick, I will give you a tease of what we will be reading next week for the show. For those of you who are curious, and while you hear me say these things, make sure you leave us a like, subscribe to the channel if you're not. All those things are super important. It helps us help us out a lot. So next week we're gonna be talking Wolverine Revenge #1, Ultimate Spider-Man #8, Jenny Sparks #1. World's Finest #30, and Superman #17. And finally, whatever you guys choose through the poll. So make sure you do that too. Thank you for watching. Until next time, take care, guys.